Hello, my name is Lindsay Davidson, and this is my final project for Module 7 of ED880, the Accelerated Online um, program for the summer of 2020. So for this plan, for this final project, I just created a slideshow as if I was an administrator or an instructional coach at my current school. And this is a professional development plan for new teachers, but I also feel like I would open it up to veteran teachers, existing teachers at the school if it was a professional development that they would be interested in. So I'm going to start my presentation now as if I was presenting this to my group of teachers. So this is the Mountainside Elementary Professional Development Plan for the 2020-2021 school year. So I want to start out just by sharing this quote. It's a quote on the intentional teaching. Intentional teaching involves educators being deliberate, purposeful, and thoughtful in their decisions and action. Intentional teaching is the opposite of teaching by rote or continuing with traditions simply because they have always been done that way. So I wanted to start with this quote, this definition of intentional teaching, because it kind of leads in to where this professional development is going that we're going to be doing this year. As I mentioned before, this is really geared towards all new teachers. All new teachers will be required to participate in this professional development, but I do see a lot of value in this training. So I am opening it up to any existing or veteran teachers that would like to join in on the training. So I'm going to start kind of just by talking about what we're doing, what materials we're going to be using, and then I'm going to kind of go through the rationale from the book that we're going to be using for each of the different areas and kind of explain a little bit about why it's important and why we are doing it. Okay. So the goal of this professional development, as with many other professional development trainings, is to grow in our educational profession and meet the needs of our students to the best of the ability. Um, so professional development as a teacher is really important. And I think this book, The Highly Effective Teacher by Jeff C. Marshall, really helps explain and address the teacher intentionality of practice scale framework, which is really the basis of what we're going to be talking about this year. And this book talks about 7 classroom tested practices that foster student success. In addition to utilizing this text, we're also going to be using the needs assessment and the data we get from that. The needs assessment is in the beginning of this text, but I also have copies printed, so you guys will be able to take that. It's an individual assessment, and we'll talk more about that when we get to it. We're also going to be doing biweekly professional development meetings. So, assuming our schedule remains how it is, twice a month, we're going to be meeting, all the new teachers and anyone else who wants to join in. And we're also going to have opportunities to collaborate with our grade level teams. So, our grade level teams that are involved in the training. Also, in your plan time, your PLC time, you'll also have time to do that as well. Okay, so to kind of talk about the professional development cycle, this is a cycle that can be used for any different training, and I'm just going to kind of explain how it fits into the training that we're doing this year. So our plan is obviously to develop an understanding of the teacher intentionality practice scale, which is featured in the book, The Highly Effective Teacher, that we are using. What we're going to learn is we're going to learn about the highly effective teacher and the 7 classroom strategies that foster student success. The do is going to be, that we're practicing these strategies and we're collaborating with our team and with our group that we're working with, just to help us reflect and understand kind of where we are and where we need to go as far as those skills. And our assessment is going to be really just reflecting on our own teaching practices. Reflection is really important in education. I know a lot of you teachers reflect on a daily basis about, if a lesson went well, if it could have been better. So we're just gonna, expand on those reflecting skills. Okay, so now we're gonna kind of get into the individual tips for this training. As I mentioned, the highly effective teacher goes over the 7 teacher intentionality practices that are needed to be an highly effective teacher. So, tip 1 is the coherent connected learning progression. So, why? Why do we need to know this? Why is this important? We need to focus on this tip in order to be able to implement a solid and coherent learning progression that connects learning to big ideas as well as the lives of their students. Okay, tip 2 is strategies, resources, and technologies that enhance learning. Again, why? Why is this important? This is important so we are able to facilitate learning through a student-centered learning approach, as well as provide those technologies and resources that support learning in a meaningful way. With our situation that we're going through right now with, you know, possible online learning and digital learning, it's really important that we, understand those resources and technologies that enhance learning rather than just sending them to a website. We really need to kind of learn and figure out if, the technologies we're providing are supporting our students in that meaningful way. Okay, tip 3 is safe, respectful, well-organized learning environment. So why is this important? This is important so we are able to manage both instructional and non-instructional routines in a smooth manner, as well as manage behaviors in a way that cultivates a respectful environment. So last year we introduced the responsive classroom practice into our school. So we're going to kind of continue on with that and tying it into this tip 3. Okay, tip 4, challenging, rigorous learning experience. Okay, rigor is a word that we used a lot last year as we introduced our new Wonders ELA curriculum. There was a lot of talk about how the rigor was a lot higher. And the rationale behind this tip is, the goal being to be able to create and maintain a climate of high expectation that is challenging as well as differentiating and that models perseverance. So, along with that higher rigor in our curriculum programs and in our instruction, it's important that students understand those expectations, that they are challenged as well as differentiated, at their own individual level, and that they're able to persevere when things get hard. Okay, tip number 5, interactive, thoughtful learning. Okay, why is this important? This is important so we are able to promote that high interactive culture that is thoughtful and allows for purposeful student engagement. So we want students to be interactive, engaged in their learning. This will again be a challenge this year. We don't really know, what the classroom's going to look like with social distancing, but there are still ways that they can be interactive. They don't just need to be sitting there listening to their teacher lecture. So this is really going to be focused on, just promoting that interactive culture under any circumstance. Okay, tip 6, creative problem solving culture. Why is this important? It's important so we are able to foster an environment that allows for creativity, inquisitive opportunities, and encourages problem solving. So we want our students to ask questions. We want them to be curious. We don't want them to just sit, take the information that we have or that teachers are giving them and not be more inquisitive and expand their knowledge. We want to create a classroom full of lifelong learners that want to learn, and we want to encourage that in our classrooms. Okay, the final tip is tip 7, and this is all about assessments. It's monitoring, assessment, and feedback that guide and inform instruction and learning. So why? So every year we have a lot of assessments that we give. We have our benchmark assessment, beginning, middle, of end. You're encouraged to do formative assessments each week with your grade level teams and you collaborate and discuss those at PLC. And this is really important because it helps us to provide feedback that guides and supports student learning and adjust instruction based on the data we receive. So we're really just expanding upon, what we've already been doing in our PLCs. And for you new teachers, you're going to be taking, what you're learning about, the practices we have in our school, and then you will be kind of, learning how you can implement those into your own classrooms. So this is really it for this presentation. This was just a brief kind of snapshot about what this training is going to entail. On your tables, you will see the handouts for the timeline for the training. Again, those dates are always, open to change depending on, anything that could be happening this year. And there's also a training rubric. We are going to together fill out them in our professional development, so you'll bring them each time. But other than that, I'm really excited for this training, and I think it's really going to be beneficial to not only the new teachers, but to any of those veteran teachers who, are interested in taking this. So I thank you for your time.